Today's guest holds a Bachelor of Arts in Law and Psychology, a certified human resources leader, and a graduate of interest-based mediation training. Over the past 25 years, she has coached and mentored thousands of professionals. And today she's going to share with you new insights, ideas, and information so you know who to lead. Would you please help me welcome our good friend, Professor Carri Lynn Hotson. Welcome. Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited to learn about you and your journey. Before you became a college professor, what was the dream that you started with, and what excited you about that dream?
So I wanted to be a leader, somebody who impacted the people that I worked with. I think a lot, like a lot of your listeners. And I did all the things you're supposed to do. I read all the books. I did all the leadership courses. In fact, I was the one that ran the leadership courses. And then I got into leading organizations. I was a senior manager, and I figured out just how hard leadership actually is. It's a really tough job. And so I kept increasing, what do I need to learn and how do I learn it? Made a lot of mistakes along the line, and now share those with leaders and teams to help you do the job you really want to do. You want to lead and inspire and allow for organizational growth. And it's truly an honor and a privilege to be a leader. And so I want to help you do it.
And along the way, becoming a leader, what were some of the challenges that you had faced? And what was the importance of leadership in those times?
So I think leadership, the challenge is, we've always been taught these theories on if you empower your people, if you tell them that you want to hear them, if you're open to feedback, if you use conflict resolution styles, that somehow magically it's going to work. And what I realized for myself was every single person that you lead is different. Every single one has different interests and different needs. And how you lead them, how you have to teach them, how you have to mentor them, and what their goals are different. And that was something I had to learn and honor, because I think as leaders, we often want to see the greatest potential in everybody. So we kind of set out what your goal should be. Oh, you should try for this, or maybe you should shoot for this job. But we don't do enough listening and asking questions, because maybe that's not what the person wants at all. Maybe they just want to come to work, do their job, and go home. They don't want to take on more tasks. And then when you try to give them more tasks because you think, oh, isn't this exciting? I'm giving you new opportunities. I'm actually stressing you out. I'm not helping you at all. So there was lots of bumps along the road. It's a lot of, people not necessarily being happy, even though you thought you were doing the right thing. It can be very humbling to be a leader. You have to be very vulnerable. You have to look at your mistakes, ask questions, find your own mentors, read in more books. I went back to school. I got my human resources certification, and I became a mediator. And those really helped me start to understand the dynamics of just why do issues at work happen, and what do we have to do as leaders to really have that impact we want to have on creating that culture we want to create.
I really liked the point that you made there about leaders asking questions. And we have a bit of a joke in our house. So when my wife gets angry, when she turns into an angry bird,
Yes.
me and my daughter say, Mum, leaders ask twice as many questions to every statement they make. So Mum's angry. The top's blown. Now she's making statements, and we say leaders ask questions.
Yeah, I'm sure that works very well when she's triggered.
Yes, we're not good employees. We stir up the leader. I was co-leading a team of 17,500 cabin crew at Emirates Airline. And on my leadership journey, I'd met many different leaders. And there was always these stories about these leaders, those leaders. And people would talk about these leaders, and you'd get on the flight and the leader would announce themselves. Well, I'm the senior flight steward, and you've never flown with somebody like me before. I'm not for the company, I'm all for you. I'm going to back you 100%. I've got 100% faith in you. If there's a mistake, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that it's just genuine and you're in the right and the customer was in the wrong. I'm here to back you up 100%. And people would go, oh, wow, we've got this amazing leader. Get on the aircraft. The first thing goes wrong. This person's totally for the company. has no belief in the team, totally 100% sticking up for the customer, writing to the manager. And the team within about half a flight has just fallen apart. And you can feel the dissent across the team. And it's interesting. And I believe that some of us have had great leadership opportunities for ourselves. We've had great leaders, and we've also had those leaders who have fallen below the bar. But I think leadership goes beyond just the title on your badge or the title on your business card. So how do you define leadership? How do you define leadership?
So it's it's something that you have to really do a lot of self insight and examination into. And actually in the book that I wrote, that's exactly the first thing I ask people to do. I want them to do exactly that. I want you to think about all of the different leadership experiences that you've had. What did you like? What do you want to emulate? What do you not want to emulate? And why? And so we have to really look at that. And then we have to do the even harder part of saying, okay, here's the leader that I think I am. And here's how I think I impact other people. And now I have to have those honest conversations with people that work for me to find out if I actually am the leader that I think I am. You know, that person that you just spoke of, they may very well think that what they announced is who they are. They haven't realized that divide. And like you said, employees are extremely observant. They're even more observant now, and they are noticing. And if organizationally, culturally, you say we are inclusive and they don't see examples of it, they're leaving. If you say as a leader, I'm someone that I want to hear, I have an open door policy. I want to listen to you. Please bring me your feedback. And then the first thing you do when I bring you an idea is tell me how bad it was and why it's not a very good idea and that's not going to work. Well, you're not open to feedback. And if I try it again and again and you're not, maybe you're not the person that I want to work for. So I think employees are really holding their leaders accountable to, and their organizations. This is who you say you are, prove it. Prove it. And so now leaders really have to do that self-examination. It can sound scary. It doesn't have to be. We have a lot of fun. You know, we look at things and we can enjoy it. I'm never going to say to you, who you are is wrong. I'm going to say, these are your strengths. That leader had strengths, but this is how those strengths can impact other people who have different strengths. And so now we need to figure out how to understand each other and work really effectively together.
I also believe that employees keep a track record of their leaders. And we do it in our house. We go for a walk at night time, and my wife will tell us all the things that she loves about Taiwan, all the things she loves. And then I say to my daughter, quick, write that down on page 296 of the Book of Mama. And we write down all the things that she does well. And then when Mum makes a mistake, we say, oh, here's a conflict. Quick, write it down in the Book of Mama. Go to page 110 and write it down. So we have this running joke. And, you know, my wife's the leader in our house. She's our mum. And we keep a tally of all the things she does right. And when the halo slips, we're very quick to remind them of when their halo slips. It's interesting. And the same thing when I was at Emirates Airline. There was stories about these great leaders, and then there was these stories about these horrific ones. And for all the horrific stories that I'd heard, I'd never had that experience.
Wow.
So even for me, it was a conflict because you hear these stories. This person does this person does that, that person does that. Well, I went and introduced myself to that person, said, hello, how you doing? And then on the layover in the middle of Africa, I'm having birthday cake sent to my room. And I thought to myself, am I the only person who's having this experience? Is the joke on me today? And then I'd ask my wife, have you flown with this person? And she'd say, that person is the most incredible leader I've ever had. So honest with you, direct, holding the high standards and making sure everybody meets Emirates standards. She goes, I never had a problem with that person. So interesting, one person can have one story and one experience and the other's something totally different.
Right.
And moving forward with leaders, you know, a lot of people say, well, he's just a natural born leader or she's just a natural born leader. Is there such thing as a natural born leader, or is it a set of skills that we can acquire along the way?
Well, it's really interesting because even in my book, I wrote about your listening skills. And so there's a great book. I mean, I mentioned a lot of great leadership books. I certainly don't take credit for, I've written the only leadership book. There's thousands of them, and I've cited many fantastic ones. And in the one that I cite in the book, she talks about your listening skills. And we think we can work on communication skills, and we practice to speak, and we take presentation courses. But do we take listening courses? Like, how come we don't learn to listen? We don't. It's so interesting. So I think even it's a very small example, but it really illustrates, yeah, you're right. So as a leader, if it's identified to me in your feedback that you don't really hear me, like, or I don't feel heard, maybe it's because your listening style is that of a problem solver. You hear to solve, but that's not what I need you to do. I don't want you to solve. I want you to hear me so that you can support me. I want, like, there's a lot of different things I want you to hear in what I'm telling you. Or you miss the root cause of what I was trying to tell you in the first place because you went to solution based. That's what I cover in mediation. So yes, I definitely think there's skills that leaders can learn. I think the piece where we say, are you born a leader? There's a lot of charismatic leaders that people wouldn't like, but they were fantastic leaders because they got people to follow. So what we even like in a leader is different. But I think culturally, and employees are now telling us, they want to be empowered. They want to be heard. They want to be valued. Literally, I have talked to employees who are telling me, you know what, I was making six figures and I left that business because I did not like that leader. 78% of people are leaving an organization, not because of the organization and how much money they're making, but because of who is leading them. And when they start to work with somebody who truly shows them they value, shows them I hear you, shows them that I want to hear what your goals are and I'm going to help you reach your goals. I'm not going to set your goals for you. I'm going to stay with that leader. Because after all, I'm happy coming to work now. I enjoy this. I like the people that I'm working with. I like what you do with this team. It's not always about the money. And I really think that the last, few years has shown that over and over again. And that's what business leaders have to pivot. And the leaders that are going to be successful are the ones that are getting it and willing to learn. And yeah, it is some new skills. They're not skills that you necessarily have right now. We need to learn them.
Would one of those skills for a leader be emotional maturity? Does there have to be a level of emotional maturity for a leader to be able to lead people?
I think definitely emotional awareness for sure. And part of that is understanding how you impact other people. That if you shout, here's a great one. So you grew up in a family, they were very loud, they're very boisterous, they always shout. So for you, it's just culturally acceptable. It's something you're so used to. You don't think anything of it. But if you got to a point where employees trust you and they start to share, one of your employees may share with you, you know what, I grew up in a family where, my father always yelled, and it was always condescending comments, and it was demoralizing. And I literally have a trigger that when somebody starts to yell, I don't hear anymore. I don't hear anything you're saying. So in the meeting, even though you think you're being boisterous and maybe excited and loud and just bringing across your ideas, I literally have shut down. I'm so triggered, I don't hear anything. And it affects me for the rest of the day.
Mm.
Wow, right? If I have the emotional maturity to actually hear what you said and don't go into shame and blame and you're saying that I shouldn't yell, listen to what they just shared with you. That's incredibly powerful. And now you can become their ally. You can make that meeting a safe space for them. You can change your own behavior and be conscious of how other people are behaving to make sure they feel safe and that they can share. And you will see that person blossom. I've seen it. It's amazing. All of a sudden, this little wallflower becomes somebody confident enough to be speaking up and sharing, and other people notice and they think, what did you do? I just listened. I just valued them. I heard them. It doesn't take a lot, but it does take skill, and it takes time to learn what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And that's what you got to learn.
And it's not what you know that hurts you, it's what you don't know that hurts you.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
think how leaders come across, and I've had that experience that you're talking about, is just totally turning off. My mum calls it the Tolson turn off, but that's only because my father grew up in a family of 12 children. It was damn loud. But I've turned off leaders before. I remember there was one of my leaders, and God, he must have gone to a Tony Robbins conference because he come back and he must have been sucking on the helium. He come into the office and he was pumped up. He was pumped up, and he, you got to bring the energy, and he brought the energy in there. And I thought to myself, that's not what he was doing yesterday. Like, this is so incongruent. And he's sucking on the helium, and he's going to be the motivator. He's going to take us to the stars. He's going to take us to the moon. And we're going to have these peak performance months, and we're going to make more money than we've ever had before. And you're going to go home with the biggest commission check. And he told me all the things that I was going to do. And I asked him, and I said, and what's in it for me? And he looked at me after he told me all the things that were in it for him. And I said, what's in it for me? Why do I want to work 7 days a week? Why do I want to work 12 hours a day so you can pay off your bills? I want to go to the club. I want to get some new clothes. That's what's of interest to me right now. And so I shut down. And I've had that. And then I had the leader who's the class clown. I think that was the worst one. They were the class clown. Everything was a joke. Everything was a practical joke. Everything was pulling your leg. And by the end of it, I was totally exhausted. And I couldn't take them serious. I had to do my job, but I couldn't take them serious. And there was a big disconnect for me. There was no emotional maturity for that person.
Well, and the thing I love to do is work with those leaders because they mean well. Like, he came in, he went on this course, he comes in and he means well.
Yeah.
He's got all these great ideas.
Good intentions.
Those are the poor leaders that, 6 months later, they're so frustrated. They're frustrated because they're trying to be the leader they think they're supposed to be, and it's not working. I asked everybody, I got them all excited, and productivity has not gone up. In fact, it's gone down. I can't understand what's going on. Well, I told them what we have to do. Why didn't this work? And that's a perfect starting point for me, because that's okay. So I know where your interests are and what you were trying to do. Now we have to hear from the people that work for you so that I can help you understand how it impacted Daniel, why it didn't actually work. And in the end, the two of you could become the best team. If he learns it and you learn it, it's amazing working with people that are different than you. But it's not our comfort zone. We like to work with people that are the same as us because we understand what they're going to do. We're not so comfortable with people that are different than us. That's why some leaders, I love them because they're the same as me, where if they're different than you, you hate them. So it's learning. There's a lot of emotional growing, and there's a lot of relationship building. And I don't think we have ever really taken time to do that in organizations. We don't build relationships, and then when they break down, we don't rebuild relationships. And yet your employees are your greatest asset. They're the ones you need in every single business to make that business work. So we need to invest in the people that are our asset and build those relationships.
It's interesting. Just because you're in a team, it doesn't automatically assume a relationship.
Oh, no. Sometimes teams are the worst. They can't stand each other.
And they come in and they're in the honeymoon period and everything's lovely until something hits the fan. And they go into that storming phase. That's interesting. And that's where that rapport has to have already been built. That rapport is so important. And another thing that I think leaders of today really need to become good at is to create that unconditional positive regard. And it's that state in psychology where the team member can share their ideas without the fear of being judged.
Yeah.
And I love what you said at the start. People feel like they're being judged. They bring forward what they believe is a good idea, and it could be a good idea. Maybe just not today. It could be more relevant to what's going to happen a month or a year down the track. But can't we just keep that idea afloat for a while before we shut it down? That's not a good idea. We've tried that before. I personally did. If it doesn't work for me, it's not going to work for anybody else. Our competitors are going to laugh at us. Oh, that could be a damn good idea in that person's model of the world. How can we nurture it?
Yeah. I actually just covered that with my students today because we're doing a lot on the cost benefits of training and trying to convince organizations, because training is the first thing we do. We cut out of our budgets because we think it's a fluff, and it absolutely is not a fluff. It's fundamental. If people are not trained and you don't continue professional development, you will crumble. But to your point, yeah, we had just covered that. And one of the things we talked about is people need to know the why. Don't just tell me no. Don't just say, no, that won't work. Or I want you to do this. Tell me why. Just explain it to me. And then explain it to me how you want it done. Show me, let me try, and then I'll do it. And just by using like a simple sequence.
How, show, try, do.
I understand it. Right. Right.
But we always show, try, do. Automatic response. Mum, can I have a chocolate? No. Mum, can I have a snack? No. Right. Mum, can I cook something? No. Become a leader? Hey, boss, here's $1 million idea. No. Right. Stimulus response.
Exactly. And yet, what's the first thing little kids do? They say, "But why? But why? But why?"
My boy picked up the iPad yesterday and he said, "Mama, can I play a game?" No. "Mama, can I play for 15 minutes?"
Yep.
No. "Mama, can I play for 10 minutes?" No. "Mama, have you changed your mind yet?" And my wife cracked up and she laughed and she said, "Now I'll change my mind." Yes, because she got me.
That's awesome.
Now, you've just written a wonderful book, and I'd like to learn more about this one. It's called Knowing Who You Lead. Can you tell us more about the book and some of the ideas that we can take away from your latest book?
Yeah. So this book, I tell people, is not a book to sit on the shelf. It's not going to get dusty. I'm going to make you work. It comes with a free workbook. You will be doing some of those strategies that we already started to talk about. Know who were your favorite leaders? What are your leadership skills? What is the feedback you're getting from employees? And in fact, I made you the workbook on purpose because I don't want you to write the answers in the book in case anybody finds them, because I am asking you to be vulnerable. I'm going to walk you through 5 parts. So we're going to talk first about who you are as a leader and who you want to be. That's fundamental. Then we have to figure out who are the people that you're leading. We need to figure out who they are. And I've got some really good systems and even some data analytics that'll help you see who they are. And then we're going to try some strategies. Let's put it into practice, because this is the tough part. We take the books, we take the courses, but we don't actually put it into practice and do the tough work. And that's actually some of the work I do with organizations. I'm there to help you. Then we get to grow. So now we get to build trust. We get to create team synergy. We get to put it all into practice because now, like you said, we've done that fundamental work. And finally, we're going to inspire growth. We're going to increase diversity. We're going to increase inclusion because now we have organizations that can do it.
I like that word, inclusion.
Oh, so important. Yep.
Leadership, in my opinion, has been very exclusive. You know, we're going to include you because you're going along with us. You're a yes person. But those people who are saying no, yeah, it's got to be more inclusive. And we do live in a dynamic world. When I was working with Emirates Airline, my team was from 136 nationalities.
Oh, fantastic.
We all went into one training college, but when you got on the aircraft, you didn't have one leadership style for 17 people. You had 17 leadership styles for 17 different individuals every single day.
Good.
And I believe that you've really got to understand who you're leading. And I made many mistakes as a leader. I remember having 2 Chinese girls and 2 Aussie girls in business class with me. And I said to the Chinese girls, we've all been to the same college. You know exactly what to do. Go out and deliver the service. Follow the steps. Everything will be fine. I said to the Aussie girls, go ahead. We've been to the same college. Follow the system, top to bottom. You'll be fine. The Aussie girls went out, followed the system. The Chinese girls went out and they started to serve desserts before appetizers. So I pulled them back in and I said, making a mistake, I want you to follow the service sequence. Do that, there'll be no problems. They went back out, they're serving wine and there's no glasses. I brought them back in. And then I thought to myself, who's the idiot here? Mm-hmm. And I had to assume responsibility as the leader. And I said, maybe I'm leading them incorrectly because these girls have just followed it, but they're Aussie. And these Chinese girls, maybe I'm doing something wrong. So I brought the girls back and I said, this is step 1. This is what you do, and this is the reason why we do it. Go out, do step 1, and then report back. They went out and did it perfect. And I went, oh my gosh, maybe I'll just try it again. This is step 2. This is what we do, and this is why we do it. Go out and do that. They did it perfectly. And then I realized that although we'd been indoctrinated in the same system, we still had to be led differently. But that was a tough one. So I wonder how many times I'd made that mistake before and didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Must have done it many times. So how do we get a copy of your book? Knowing Who You Lead. Where's the best place to get a copy of the book today?
You can go right to my website, www.knowingwhoyoulead.com. And in the bookstore, it has it listed. It's everywhere. It's on Amazon, Kobo, Kindle. You can get it in hard copy, soft copy, and ebook.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, head over to knowingwhoyoulead.com. I'll put the link in the show notes. And before we go, any final thoughts that you'd like to share with a leader, somebody who's beginning in leadership? What's some words of wisdom you'd like to leave with them today?
Oh, leadership is such a fantastic opportunity. If you can get it, take it. But set yourself up well. Take the courses, read the books, get the coaching when you need it, because it can also be really tough and really stressful, and you need to take care of you so that you stay in a healthy mind. I have a chapter saying healthy leaders, equal healthy teams. And so believe in yourself and get that support. And anybody that reads the book, I'd love to hear from you. I have a whole section where I want leaders to feedback from me, because I want to keep this conversation going. This, again, is not a book that's going to sit on a shelf. We're going to continue these conversations. I want to hear about those experiences. What did I learn as a leader? Here's something I tried. I like this. How do I do this part? Didn't quite get that. Let's keep it going.
I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, head over to knowingwhoyoulead.com. The link will be in the show notes. And remember, one new idea at the right time is enough to change your life. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful day. Professor Carri, thank you so much for being here with us. Really appreciate it.